Hey there. So today on Dev Tips with Kent, I was inspired a couple like a week or two ago. I did this JavaScript reduce dev tip, and Sam said, "Oh, I was hoping that you do the um, like chaining synchronous or asynchronous promises. It's a pretty cool trick. Something I had done before, and I didn't think about including it. It was kind of a fun idea." And so I've been playing around with that a little bit this morning, just getting ready for this, and a couple of interesting things have come out. So thank you, Sam, for the idea. Let's make this thing happen. So yeah, so we're going to actually start out with a pretty naive approach. We've got this list of files, and we have this load file. So this could be using like fs to load the contents of the file or something. We're just going to be doing a cheap way here just to simulate that, because I don't want to set up a file system and stuff. So there's one way that you could do this that would be pretty easy, is you could say all promises and files.map file load file, and then it's a we'll just do promise.all promises, and when they're all finished, then result log result. Okay, and so that's great. The issue with that is and like in this case, this is perfect. Like I probably, this is how I would do it. The problem that you can come against is, what if you have 100 files? Trying to open them all at once is probably not going to be great, especially in like a CI environment or something like that. And so if you're making a tool that loads files and stuff, then you don't want to do it sequentially. And honestly, if you're really doing that, you'll probably, like, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to use something that's more catered to that. I know that Soros has a whole bunch of, let's see, awesome promises. So he's got a promise fun. Here we go. He's got a ton of packages for promises, and I think there's one that's map series, or each series maybe reduce. Yeah, so like if you're really going to get into this, that's what I'd recommend. Look at promise fun. But if, just for our purposes, if we want to have these all load one at a time, then there are a couple of things that we could do to go about that. So I'm going to add a all here so we can differentiate these messages a little bit better, because Quokka actually puts them in the wrong order, in like reverse order. It's kind of weird. But anyway, let's do kind of a naive approach. So we'll say let current promise equal promise dot resolve to an array, and then let's see, then we'll do current, let's see, no, it'll be files dot for each file, and current promise equals current promise dot then, and this is going to give us all file or all contents. That'll be that array that we resolved to at first, and then we'll say the load file. Well, we want to return this promise of that file, then the contents, and we'll return all contents after we all contents dot push. I'm misspelling for. Then result, and this will be for each result. Here we go. Okay, cool. So now we're getting that. So that's another way. And so the difference here semantically with how it actually is working is these are all running synchronous or asynchronously all at once, and then when they resolve, then they all resolve all at once. And this one is running one at a time. We queue up all these things to happen, and then they go off and fire one after the other, which might be what you want, and that's why we're doing this. So Here's an alternative, which I like better, and this is the one that Sam was suggesting. So we'd say files, dot, here, let's do final promise equals files dot reduce. And this is going to be the previous promise and the file that we're iterating on. We want the initial value to be promise.resolve that empty array, just like we did with our initial current promise here. And we're going to return previous promise dot then, pretty much this stuff. And what did I do wrong? Huh. Not read previous and find. Oh, because I've got a syntax error. There we go. Cool. Okay. So that's weird. It was trying to run it even though it had a syntax error. Okay. So we're going to do then final promise dot then result. And this is reduce. Okay. So now we're getting the reduced version. And so I like this one a little bit better. You can actually make it point free, which means no variable names or no variable declarations, by just removing this and adding the dot then on that. So that works. Whoops. So yeah, if you wanted to do that, that'd be kind of fun. But there's actually nowadays, since we have async await, there's actually a much easier way to do this. Because we don't have async at the root of the module, though, we have to do things in kind of a wonky way. We're gonna take a step back in time to the days of no modules and use an immediately invoked function expression. And that's because we need to make this async. Okay, so with that, we can now use await in here, and I'm going to make a variable called all contents. That's going to be an empty array, and I'm going to say for file of files, and then we'll await. Load file, and that's going to get our contents here. And actually, let's just all contents. Oops. Push that, and then async all contents. Oops. There we go. Sweet. Yeah, like I said, it kind of goes out of order. It's kind of weird. That's why we put the label, but that's the async version. Yeah, it's kind of straightforward. It's a little bit imperative with this for of loop, but I think that's fine. Like, it looks okay. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. I wonder if actually, I didn't try this, but if we do files for each file and just do that, wonder what happened there. Oh, we gotta make this async. Nope, that's not gonna do it. So, I wonder why that. I guess the for each is gonna call those and it doesn't care about the fact that they're async. So that makes sense. But yeah, anyway, those are a couple of different methods. If I were writing this in my code base right now and I needed to do something like this, then I'd actually probably use one of these packages. Probably. But I mean, this isn't bad. Looks pretty cool. The reason I'd use one of these packages is because you can actually, I think it's this limit one, you can have it run some of them concurrently, and that would be useful, like, because like in reality, I don't mind that at least some of them are running at the same time. I just don't want 100 of them running at the same time. So anyway, yeah, but if you really do want them to run one at a time sequentially, there are a bunch of ways to do it. This one's the most terse. So I hope that's helpful. I'm gonna check out here actually really quick. I think there are some people with questions, so let me just check that really quick. I am only streaming on YouTube. I kind of stopped streaming on Twitch because it's just extra work to get it from Twitch to YouTube. So I'm doing YouTube now. Share my VS Code setup. So if you go to kcd.im VS Code, and that will take you to my AMA, where I have a list of all of my plugins and stuff. So I don't have my settings, but yeah, there's that. Oh, that was nice of DevDrive. Nice comment. Love Dank font. I also love Dank font. If you likewise want a cool font, dank.sh, check that out. Dank mono. It's awesome. I like it a lot. So why did the for each not work? And the for of did work. So I'll explain that a little bit more. So you have files.for each. Oops. Async. This thing, right? So that's what we had before. So the problem is that, whoops, and I think I lost something. I needed that thing. So the reason this isn't working, oh, this is file. Yeah, so the reason this isn't working is because the for each is not going to wait until this await resolves. So the function itself will await. It's an async function, but the for each doesn't have any semantics to handle promises, and that's what async is doing. It's turning this function into a promise returning function. And so for each doesn't care. It's not going to wait until that one finishes, and so it's just going to run them all. And so this code right here, we're basically registering a bunch of things to happen on the next tick of the event loop, but for each doesn't wait for that to finish. It just runs all of our code, and then our next line runs. So if there were some way for us to await this, we had like an asynchronous for each. Let's see, async. Hey, that kind of works. I guess what this is doing is it's promise.resolve, where it's resolving to undefined. And so it's waiting till the next tick. But if this were to take more than just here, let's just do this just for fun. So we'll return a new promise solve, and to set timeout to actually make it take a second, or 500 milliseconds. Oops. Then we'll just return, or we'll resolve that. There we go. Yeah, so now it's not working because it's actually taking more than just one tick of the event loop. And so yeah, so even though we're waiting till the next tick of the event loop with this await thing, which is functionally equivalent to that, it's still going to take longer than just one next tick of the event loop before all of these promises resolve. And for each doesn't have any semantics to handle that, and so it's just going to it'll just finish up, wait till the next tick of the event loop because we have this await keyword here, and then it'll log this. But by that time, all contents is still not finished. So that's why that didn't work. So we're gonna, let's restore it to its previous glory for file of files, and move that down, and then get rid of that. Oh, whoops. And there. So anyway, it's kind of fun. Let's see. Does map wait for promises? No, map does not wait for promises. And neither does reduce. All of the array functions are totally synchronous. And so that's why in our map, this will run instantly, just runs. In our for each, the for each also will all run instantly, and that's why we have this current promise that we're keeping track of, and we go off of the previous current promise. And that's the exact same thing we're doing a little more tersely in the reduced example. As we have a previous promise, we return what's given to us from the then here, and we get a new promise out of that, and we are just thenning on the next promise, or on the previous promise, and making a new one out of that. So anyway, hope that's helpful. Have a wonderful Tuesday, or whenever you're watching this, and I will see you all later. Bye.